Oh, I think you're muted still. Hi, it's so good to see your face in real life.
Yeah, it's exciting. I was like, not sure if I was gonna make it, but I want to try to come. I have homework, but I'm like, I'm just gonna meet everyone as much as I can.
Yay, so glad to have you here. Let me pull the chat up too. Is it Rihanna or Rihanna? Or is it neither? Tell me that real quick. And it's good to see you in person. Hi, Allison. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Charlene, do you have the unmute there? Rihanna. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Do I have to yes, okay. I didn't realize
Yeah.
muted.
I think it automatically mutes you when you go into a new place.
Well, if anyone would know, it would be you. Allison is an author's assistant.
Oh, hi. Great.
Yeah, I am. So this is cool to finally meet people in person. Yeah, this is very cool. I've talked to Charlene quite a bit.
Yes.
On the well, in a couple of different chats and on Facebook, but and Jess, I have a few of your books on my to be read list on my Kindle, but I actually haven't gotten to them yet because my list is long. But
I totally feel you.
Yeah, but I am really excited to read them because I mean, obviously I wouldn't have grabbed them if I wasn't interested, right? So
that's the hope.
So yeah.
Well, whenever you get to them, I hope you enjoy them. Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
I can vouch for Jess's books. The first one of hers I read, I'd never heard of her, and I was kind of forced to read it for something we were doing. And I started reading it thinking, okay, I'm going to read for a few minutes and then I'll cook dinner. And my husband walked in the door and he's like, I have to leave in a half an hour. Where's dinner? I guess when you get home.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's good. And I've read several more since then.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Though.
Jess's books are amazing. I've read them all.
Thank you.
That's great.
This is so cool to be able to actually get on here and chat about them and stuff, though. Thank you guys for coming to our room.
Yeah. One thing I thought was really cool about Jess and I being partnered is that we're both from Hawaii, although not the same island.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that was cool.
Yeah.
I saw that when I was reading the info. Yeah, cool. I saw that when I was reading the info that they sent ahead of time, the workbook and everything, that you guys were both from Hawaii. I was like, did they do that on purpose? That's interesting.
I wonder if she did. Yeah, if she partnered us, because she's like, yeah, they'll be in the same time zone. Maybe they'll.
Well, she asked.
So what time is it where you are?
3 p.m.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Lisa did ask me if I knew anybody else in the, and I listed Jess's name, which might be how I got her, but I also listed several of the others. So, anyway.
Yay. Well, I'm happy about it. So what do you think, Charlene? What should we open up with? What should we start talking about?
Does anybody have a question they want to ask? Something we have someone over here. Caitlin, we haven't heard from you. Oh, there's several people. Hi, Jill.
Hi.
Hi, Walani.
Hi.
Anybody have a specific question? Oh, nope. Then it's time to get the trained monkeys out. You have them, Jess. They're not at my house.
Well, I do actually have some like pre-submitted. I had a few readers who said that they couldn't be here today. Let me try to find where I put the list. But I was chatting with a small group that suggested some questions because, Charlene, did you want to record it for us to share later? Are you guys comfortable with that if we were to record it?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yes, I'm already recording. So
perfect.
Yeah.
And when we came in, I came in, I said, okay, I'm going to record this, and then.
Oh, sorry, you were muted then still.
It's good to remind people just in case they don't want to be on camera.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do have a few submitted questions that some readers were suggesting would be nice to hear from both of us, the answers for these. So it would be basically, I'll just kind of flick through here and see
Well,
which
somebody
one.
popped a question into the chat.
Oh,
there.
yay. Favorite trope to write? Ooh, that's a good question. You do first, Charlene, because I gotta think. I'm terrible at favorites. If you know me, you know that I like if I do a this or that, I am like, well, this one when I'm in this mood and that one when I'm in this mood.
See,
Yeah.
and I'm that way too, but one thing you will find in all of my books is I grew up in the Pacific Northwest where men are men and they know how to do things, like they can fix, they can work, they can, and all of my heroes tend to have multiple talents. They're not just
Mhm.
he might be a good businessman, but he also does remodeling on the side or whatever. It's more of a personality that I lean toward than a specific trope, because I read
Okay.
so many and I like them all.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
So-
a good way to answer that. I like that.
I also like
Well-
smart.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I also like smart, sarcastic women because I tend to be one.
Yeah,
and they end up in my books.
right.
I
I
love that.
tend to be one too, so I like that. I like strong women in stories, like women who are gonna be a good kind of fit for the strong men. They're not just gonna be all kind of roll over and oh, save me.
Yeah,
but-
actually, can I flip a question back to the readers on this topic real quick? You guys can put your answers in the chat if you want, or if you want to come on and talk, you totally can. But strong heroines, I've noticed that that's something where if you write a strong heroine, readers either love her or hate her sometimes, or at least it seems to me there's a fine line between a strong heroine that readers love and a strong heroine that readers find to be too argumentative or aggressive or something along those lines. It's just something that I've kind of noticed, not even just with my own books, but just reading reviews of other books that I'm interested in. So if you have any thoughts on that as a reader, I would love to hear that just for my future reference as an author.
I think when there's a difference between strong and obnoxious. Right?
Yes.
So you can be a strong woman and you can be a strong character and have your own mind, so to speak, but not be rude and obnoxious and pushy and just have to have your own way all the time.
Right.
I think those are the kind of female characters that readers object to, where there's got to be arguing all the time, and you have to have your own way, and you're kind of high maintenance, that kind of thing. I think those are the kind of characters that I don't like. But if you're strong enough that you have that you know who you are, and you're not going to change that for a man, or you're not going to change that to be in a relationship, like, oh, he wants this type of person, so that's what I'm going to make myself into. But you know who you are, and you're going to stand on that, and you're going to, especially if it's a Christian story, and you know who you are in Christ, and that's you're solid in that, and you stand on that, and yet you can still allow a man who is a strong man, like Charlene was describing, and in a relationship those two things fit. Those are the best kind of stories, I think, for me.
That makes sense. I'm going to just read the couple answers because for the sake of the recording, since the chat doesn't show. So we have Amy said, I love strong female characters. And Jill said, I get annoyed with heroines who don't know how to speak up for themselves. That is definitely, it is. And it's interesting because I've done, I like character arcs. My books are very character focused. And I really
Uh-huh.
like to show a character arc where, you know, the way they've been because of where they came from is how they are at the start of the novel. And then the journey throughout the book, whether it's the relationship or what else is going on, kind of like helps them kind of grow, you know, like these are
Right.
things that we would kind of want.
Mhm.
But it is interesting to find that, like, you know, if a heroine is kind of off-putting in the beginning and then has to learn that, like, the strength doesn't need to be like a combative thing. She's allowed to ask for help, or she's,
Mhm.
you know, it is interesting to see a strong woman or man also needs a vulnerable side. Yes, that's
It-
true, Marge. You know
Exactly.
what? I've noticed that adding children or like even just an interaction with somebody else's kid or pets
Mhm.
really helps to show that, like, a strong, or especially with the Grumpy Sunshine
Yeah.
kind of books, like whether it's a
Mhm.
man or a woman, if they're kind of
True.
cross and you have them interact with a pet, like,
Yeah.
readers are able to be like, oh, okay, so that side is there. I guess we'll just see it later, like when they're in
Mhm.
love with whoever, you know?
I
That's
I did that in my How Not to Feud with an Obnoxious Neighbor, is that she could not see any redeeming qualities in that guy except that her dogs loved him. And
there you go.
it's
And
funny-
dogs are a great judge of character.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
One of the
Um,
stories that I really love, the tropes that I love, is the like the Beauty and the Beast kind of trope, where, you know, there's
yeah,
one person who's like really been damaged by something, and then you get somebody else who comes along and who sees past all the, you know, they're pushing everybody away because, oh no, don't, I'm hideous, kind of thing, and you got
yeah,
the person who can push past all that. That's one of my favorite story arcs.
those are good. Okay, so we actually do have some questions in the chat here. Let's see. We've got a favorite character. Charlene, do you want to say who your favorite character was, female or male? And then after that, we'll do, there was a question about if we get inspiration from our lives from our books. So let's do those real quick.
You know, I've only finished 2 books. My third one is almost done. And my favorite character is in all 3 of those books, but he doesn't have his own story yet.
Ooh,
And his name is Ty, and his story is coming.
very cool. And then I will say I am really bad at picking favorite characters, so I don't know, but I did have a princess in my rom-com series. It was a fictional country that she was a princess of, and her name was Zara, named after my daughter Zara, who is a huge princess. And she wanted to stop being a princess because she was the spare, not the heir. And so she decided she wanted to move to America and become a pediatrician. And I don't know, for some reason, I really love her as a character. And so that was the first one that popped into my head. So we'll do that.
She's
And
definitely a strong character.
yeah, but not in a mean way. So that's
Yes.
great. And then Charlene, do you get inspiration from your life for your books?
Yes and no. I mean, we can't write anything we don't know,
Okay.
but you won't look at something and be able to pull it right out of my life. At least I don't think you will. There are people here who know me. Anybody want to speak on that? Oh, very quiet.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I would say mine being military romance about Marines and being a Marine wife. It's kind of hard not to have inspiration from my real life. And in fact, it's something that I almost do intentionally because I really like to show the reality of what it's like to be a military couple. And it's not, you know, when we're not in a time of war, there's not a lot of suspensey war stuff happening. We're just a regular couple who deals with something, you know, that's unique. So you've got couples who meet online from opposite sides of the world because he's on deployment at the time, and their entire relationship like falling in love takes place on this deployment. And when they see each other in real life for the first time, it's like at the end of the book. I mean, that's unique to the military world. And I know of quite a few people who that's their love story. So I like showing that side of it. And yeah, but there's no, like, people have asked me if like my husband and my story is any of the books, and it's 100% not. But like we will have it, a lot of my opposites attract books are very similar to us, but otherwise, no, it's all fiction.
So we have a
see.
question in the chat, Jess, and Caitlin wants to know, out of all of the books you've written, do you have a particular favorite?
Oh, I just told you it's hard for me to pick favorites. Maybe though, I love road trips. And so the Runaway in my Brides of Beaufort series, the whole book takes place over the course of a road trip where the Marine is essentially bullied into taking a runaway bride and her Starkey 13-year-old daughter from California to South Carolina, long story short. And it was just really fun to write. And they visited characters from my other series along the way while they were going. And so having those Easter eggs and having readers be able to say like, oh my gosh, when so-and-so showed up in that world, like it was just really cool to see. And so, yeah, I think that one would probably be my current favorite.
And then Hannah Smith wants to know.
I love that one as well.
Thank you.
Hannah Smith would like to know, what would each of us say is the best and hardest parts of being an author? I'm gonna let you go first since you're up already.
Okay. The best part is that I live in yoga pants and I work from my bed, because guys, real talk here, like I'm bubbly. My personality is bubbly in settings like this, but I'm an introvert. I have autism and ADHD, and I don't do well in a setting where I'm supposed to do what I'm supposed to do. So as far as having a regular job, like this is probably the best thing possible for me, because I just get to be creative and write stories and make my own schedule and not talk to people. And the worst part is, or hardest part, I guess, is maybe like bad reviews. I will say that even if my book has 100 amazing reviews or 99 amazing reviews and one bad review, the bad one is the one that like makes me want to quit being an author. I know that probably is a silly thing to admit, but I think that might be the hardest thing.
I think that's true for all of us, though, that hitting the ego.
Okay.
Just wonder if we really belong here.
Yeah.
For
Your
me,
books are awesome though.
who said that? I'm sorry.
What did you say, Hannah?
Your books are awesome. Love them.
No, thank you. Good to
Books
see you
are
in
awesome.
real life, by the way.
Likewise.
So for me, like Jess, the easiest part is that I get to stay home. I'm a retired school teacher. I am disabled. I would like to say moderately, but it's a little bit more than moderate. And going out in public involves canes and walkers and sometimes just more than I can take. And so I sit in my house and I make up my own stories with happy people who can do the things I used to do. And if that sounds sad, pathetic, I am not sad and pathetic at all. I have lots of friends. I'm on the phone all the time. And that's also the hardest thing about writing. My husband said, honey, you have to turn your phone off. You have to block out your writing time. You can't let anybody disturb it. And then he says, oh, by the way, what's for dinner? Have you done my laundry? And I'm like, writing time? He said, that doesn't apply to me. So
yeah, that is true. It is funny when you work from home and it's all like, oh, but there's a home happening in this home too. Yeah. So I think that probably, I've noticed a lot of authors are also introverts or people who like to stay at home because it just kind of seems to work out that way. But I've also noticed that we have weird working hours, like we might be those people who will even though we're not getting up to go to a job at a certain time, like waking up super early in the morning before the kids get up, or staying up really late before, after they're in bed, or just if there's not young kids, just because that's the only time someone else isn't taking, the focus or the household or whatever. But yeah. And then Rihanna, now that I'm saying your name properly, sorry. Her question is, introverted, extrovert. There you go. Yeah. But she says, when your kids or babies or toddlers, how did you find or make time to write, especially if the baby was clingy, asking for a friend? Well, my kids are currently 3, 4, 8, and 9. And I officially published for the first time when I was pregnant with my first. And that was back in 2013. So it was very easy, because they weren't here yet, right? And then I wrote another one and published that in 2014. And then I stopped writing altogether because I had no idea what I was supposed to do with those books once they were up on Amazon. And so I was just like, ugh. And I was a young Marine wife with 2 toddlers. And so I did what many of us do. And I started selling multi-level marketing products. So I did that for a long time. And then in 2019, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try publishing again now that I know how to do online sales, and I'll just apply it to my books. But by that time, guys, November 7th, 2019, my 4th kid was born. So I don't really know how to answer the question of where I made time for that, considering my big foray in publishing happened after I already had those 4 kids. But I think it had to do with not needing a lot of sleep, which is probably not the healthiest answer I can give you. And having a hyper focus on okay, if you only have an hour in your day, challenge yourself to see how many words you can write in that 1 hour. And then I like to say that we all have time for the things that we want to have time for. So I had to cut out binge watching my favorite shows, or I had to find creative ways for my kids to have fun and be entertained safely while also sitting right there with them with my laptop. And that's kind of my only tips there.
I can't help with that one because I didn't have children. I had hundreds of children, but it was in my classroom, not my home.
Here you go. Yeah.
So
Those are all your kids. Lots of kids.
lots of kids.
Let's see, do we have more? Oh, thank you, Andrea, for your comment. Andrea is an Army brat and loves my books. Thank you so much for saying that. And Charlene, Andrea has a request for you to email the name of her books. If you want to bookmark that.
How do I bookmark it? Let's see. I go to Andrea and I say save. No, it says I can direct message her. Andrea, Jess and I both have books that are free right now. This is the last month you're going to be able to grab them. They're at Prolific Works. Are you familiar with Prolific Works?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I've never done this before. No, I've never heard of
So
that.
welcome.
Okay. Have you heard of Book Funnel?
I did not hear you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Have you heard of Book Funnel?
No, I really do Kindle. And then I talked to there's been a couple authors that I beta and ARC read, Deny Little, because I contact them. But other than Kindle, no, I don't. I was getting a pen.
Well, I'll put the link real quick in the chat to Charlene's author page on Amazon and my author page on Amazon, so that if you want to click on that, since you have Kindle.
I just can't remember who all had this, the not fake names. What's the word? Pen names.
Pen names. Yeah.
My name is my maiden name.
Okay.
I am who I am.
Sorry. I can just look it on Amazon then. I follow you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. Oh, well, there's a question about from Walani about ADHD. I honestly think she was saying how many authors have it. I honestly think that it might be pretty common because when I've gone to some conferences lately, I've found quite a few people who are neurodivergent, and I think it's a superpower for sure in a lot of ways, because I mean, when I put my butt in the chair and I'm on a roll, it's a superpower and it's a problem. Some, you know, depends on how you look at it, but I could sit and write for 6 hours and then go, wait, I don't think I've gone to the bathroom. I need to pee. Like, you know what I mean? But I just won't even notice that. So I'm able to get a lot of stuff done, but that also can be unhealthy. But yeah, so I do think quite a few authors might have it. And I've actually met quite a few really successful authors who have it. And I think that hyper focus and the ability to multitask like that really helps. I do.
That's encouraging.
Good. I'm glad. It's a superpower for sure. And I'm really big on kind of breaking the stigma of neurodivergence and talking about that stuff. And especially now that 3 out of 4 of my kids have been diagnosed with ADHD and or autism. And I mean, we had a cake with a rainbow brain on it to celebrate their diagnosis, because I was like, you guys need to look right at me and see that I published over 30 books in 3 years because of this. It's not a problem. Like, you know, embrace it kind of a thing. And maybe that's a little obnoxious, but because I know there's certain people who, you know, have been like, oh, it's hard to label a kid. But for me, I wasn't labeled until I was an adult. So as a kid, I didn't know why I was different or what was wrong with me. And so I'm trying to teach my kids, it's a great thing. Embrace it. You know?
It is, you know, and it was the same for me. I wasn't diagnosed till I was 25.
Hard.
And it runs like wildfire through my family. My sister's middle son is absolutely brilliant, but until he figured out what worked for him, he really struggled to find a job that he could do. And but he's on the internet, and he is a huge advocate for the, you know, neurodivergent diagnoses being like a positive thing and not a negative thing. So yeah,
that's really huge.
Yeah. And that's something that I you know, for me, when I was getting slapped with these learning disability type labels and whatever, and I just kind of, when I was in college and I was helping tutor students who had learning disabilities, I was like, you know what, I don't believe in learning disabilities. I believe in learning differences.
Yes.
Exactly.
And when you figure out what's different about the way a person learns and you can work with that, then they're off to the races.
Yeah.
You know,
Use that in the classroom too. They say, it was really funny because I'd been teaching for years when they came along and said, you need to individualize your instruction for children. And I was like, you mean everybody doesn't do that? Because I didn't know. Because I mean, I have 30 people in my room and they're not all the same person.
That's great.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. And if I have a kid that absolutely cannot sit in her chair, I'm not going to make her sit in her chair. I'm going to sit her at the back of the room so she's not standing between me and everybody else, or on the side of the room. And I'm going to tell her why she's there so she doesn't think it's a punishment. I just, you know, you work with what you've got.
Exactly.
I'm so tired of being forced to go into someone else's little peg hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 68 and I have gone through this all my life, and it's such a struggle now because it's caused so many other issues in my life. And I'm glad to know there's others that are thinking like you all are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful community. Do some research when you want to get out of like a funk of feeling like, you know, you're just kind of feeling like it's a negative thing or it's not helping. Like, check out some of the stuff out there that shines a light on it in a positive way, and get connected with, like, there's ADHD writers community groups on Facebook. So check those out, because it's definitely like a lot of people just I mean, all they're really doing is saying like, hey guys, I sat down to write 2,000 words and then squirrel, and everybody's just like, hug, you know, like as
Um,
opposed to someone shaming you for that, you know? So
Jess, if you send that Facebook page to me, I will see that Walani gets it. If you know which one. it
okay,
is.
yes, I'll look for it. Do you want to look for more questions while I'm looking for that right now?
Oh, okay, yeah. So you can just send it to Walani right here on the chat.
Yeah, I could put it in the chat for anybody who's interested.
Thank you. I'm glad to know.
Yeah.
Caitlin wants to know how we stay motivated to write. If she gets one of the Mondays, she said, if I got one day of the Mondays, and that'd be it for me. Well, Caitlin, I want to tell you right now that by 10:30 this morning, I was ready to get back in bed. I was done. I got up, I came out to make my coffee, spilled the first cup all over the floor. Okay, mop that up, start over again. And then I'm going to go take a shower because not only this, but I'm now covered in coffee. And I get in the bathroom and I start to get in the shower, literally stepping over the edge of the tub. And there's a knock on the door and the guy yells, electrical inspector. And I've been told that I have to take this, but I was supposed to get a call before he came. So I put my bathrobe back on and I'm still covered in coffee, and I have to come out and let this man in my house. And I don't want to because I'm not dressed for company. And it just went downhill from there. And I'm still going to write tonight after dinner. And normally I'd be writing right now. But the cool thing about having a Monday, no matter what day of the week it is that if you go into your writing and you look at what you're doing and you remember where you were and you can get back in that mindset you had before the Monday. And sometimes I have to go back and like reread whatever section I wrote. Then you can go back to where you were before all the bad stuff started to happen. And it's like a reset for me. How about you, Jess?
Sorry, I was hyper focused on finding that link. The question was about staying motivated.
Yeah, especially if you've had a really bad day.
Well, I will read for a little bit in order to get motivated to write. That's kind of my thing. I mean, I know it sounds counterintuitive because it's like if you've got something that you need to get done, then why do something other than that? But when I pick up a good book or even a bad book, and sit there and get immersed, it's kind of like inputting that kind of thing into my brain, then it makes me excited and motivated to get it out there. And then also having deadlines that other people hold me accountable to, as opposed to ones that I set for myself. That's one where it's like, I can't really focus on the bad day that I had because I have this deadline that this person needs me to be accountable to. So yeah, so maybe if it's a matter of hiring or booking a place with an editor with a certain date, and then that way you're like, okay, this date is at the end of the year, so I need to finish my book by then, you know, then you can do that. So that could be a good tip. Let me look for more questions. I did put the link in there for the writers with ADHD.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you. I'm writing it down.
I think that's awesome. I think you can just click on it, Walani.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Just click on it.
Yep.
It won't cut you off here. It'll open in front of the screen, but just move it behind. Let's see.
Rihanna said that you learned that you had ADHD recently. And so, yeah, just anytime you want to message me, feel free to chat about that because I get it.
And depression is kind of common, I understand, right after having a baby. Yeah, I mean, you just went through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. It's
Yep.
body trauma. I mean, it's wonderful. You get this tiny little blessing, but you just went through a lot of body trauma and now you're not going to get to sleep for 3 years.
Well, yeah, but you know, writing can be good therapy in a lot of ways too. So maybe look at it that way too when you're feeling down, like try to figure out a way to, well, this scene isn't coming up for another few chapters, or if you're a plotter, I don't know, I'm very inconsistent about that kind of thing. But like, if you know there's a certain scene in your head that you're really excited to write, that you think might be good for your mood and well-being, write that scene even if you haven't written what leads up to it yet, because you can edit it later. Like a first draft of a book, I like to think of it as when you're making a sandcastle. Hello, Hawaii metaphors, right? You're making a sandcastle and you put the sand in the bucket. That's your first draft. Once your bucket is full and you bring it over to start making your sandcastle, like that's when the real work happens to turn it into that. But you need to put the sand in the bucket first, which are the words on the page. So that could be another way.
The thing that revolutioned my ability to stay on track and finish a novel was Scrivener. And I don't work for them. I'm not plugging them because because I'm going to get anything out of it. I just think it's awesome because you write chapter by chapter and scene by scene. And I am a plotter. So you can plot it out right there. And then in Scrivener, it breaks it down for you. So if I know that I'm writing chapter 2 and I'm stuck on this stupid argument that I can't get them to have because they're being nice to each other or whatever, I just go down to chapter 5, scene 3, and I write the scene where they're being nice to each other and get it out of my system so I can go back and make them have the fight that they made up from in chapter 5.
That's a really good idea. You're like, apparently I'm not in the mood to bicker, so we're just going to show them being nice instead.
Yes.
That's funny. I just posted another link in there for anyone who's interested in writing. It's called For the Words, and it's basically a way to gamify your writing. So you are writing in like a little word processing screen, but as you're writing words, this little thing is like defeating bad guys or doing, it's like a story world. It's like almost like a video game that like rewards you for putting words down. And I have used it myself on a few books, and you know, it'll be like, okay, you have this amount of time to write this many words or you lose. And my brain's like, oh, that's not happening. So, you know, it could be a fun tip, especially for my ADHD friends, because yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. And I am super competitive.
Yes, and it's perfect for people who are competitive because you're like, I don't even care what I'm writing right now. I'm just gonna beat this dragon that I'm fighting with the words.
Right.
And then
Yeah, I just opened it
I'd
up.
be
It looks
writing
pretty cool.
gibberish.
yeah. And some people will even get themselves to journal. Like if you're here as a reader who doesn't also want to write, like using that for journaling as a way to like, you know, get things off your chest. It's a lot of fun. So okay, so we don't seem to have any other questions in the chat, so I can pull from the list of the ones that were submitted if you guys want, unless anybody here has a question they want to speak or type in.
I just had one question. I wondered, like, what's your process from the beginning? Like, do you have a formula that you sort of plot out when you get an idea, or do you just kind of wing it from the beginning and then it sort of takes shape as you go?
Charlene?
I do not have a formula, but I started reading romance books when I was like 12 years old.
Me too.
I think the formula is in my DNA. It's there. However, if you're asking where you could find something like that, there are so many different writing books on plotting and stuff, and I've read a lot of them. I bet Jess has too. I love Save the Cat. I can't think of any others right off the top.
Romancing the Beat is a good one.
Yes, Romancing the Beat.
Did you say the bean?
The Beat. B-E-A.
Oh, okay.
So like story beat.
And I am willing, Allison, to go through my little writing catalog and check these all out and send you the list so that you'll know what I've bought a few that were so elementary that I think they taught it to me in 3rd grade. So you can avoid buying those books. So
cool. Okay. I never really was aspired to be a writer until about a month or 2 ago. All of a sudden I got this idea for a book, And then the idea turned into, you know what, I could make that into a series of books if I wanted to. And now I'm got all this stuff in my head and it feels like it needs to be written. So yeah, I've got ideas.
And that's probably because you're hanging out with so many writers.
Probably. And it's also probably because I'm in an entirely different situation now and
You changed
my
your life.
brain is free. So yeah.
Yeah, you changed your life drastically. So,
Mhm.
Jess, there's another question for you from Rihanna. Do any of your future books tie into the Bride of Beaufort series?
Yes. So I have a series coming out this year that's called the Small Town Veterans series. I did not go like unique with the series title. It's just that is what it is. And they are going to be in the same small town of Bluffton, where that series is set. There will be many crossover characters because if you read the whole Brides of Beaufort series, you know that they a lot of them kind of hung out there. They weren't leaving to go to another place. And the first book is about like kind of a key character for the whole series is the meddling matchmaker, Miss Hattie, who's a florist in the town, which the one book that Charlene was talking about in the beginning that she read of mine first was Miss Hattie's love story, like 30 years before the rest of the series starts. So the new series that's coming out this year is Miss Hattie and Thatcher's son, Brett, falling in love with the new manager at her flower shop. And he kicks that off. So there will be a lot of recurring characters throughout that series. And then I have another rom-com series that's coming out that's set in Tennessee this year. And people have not picked up on this yet because I haven't made it blatantly obvious, but the Wilson brothers in this series are actually the cousins of Hunter Wilson, who was a hero in Hawaii. Losing your mind. Yeah, so Hunter and his family are going to make a little appearance in Charlotte Oaks because the Wilson brothers are his cousins. So
Cool.
I love doing Easter eggs like that. Yay, I'm glad you love Hunter. Charlene, do you want to share what you have coming out this year and like kind of what books are on the horizon for you too, since I just mentioned those series and it reminded me?
Well, I've forgotten what it's called. My free book, I know the title of it, but I've forgotten what we call those.
In the Sweet and Swoony one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a prequel. Thank you. That was the word I could not think of. I lose my
okay.
words frequently when I'm talking. Maybe that's why I write so well. I save them all for that.
Yeah.
The prequel to my Yellow Pine series will actually hit Amazon in April. But if you get it in ebook, it's free. If you want a hardback, a paperback, it will be on Amazon. The ebook, if anybody wants it, just message me and I'll see that you get a link to download it. So in April, that one's coming out, and I already have out how not to avoid feuding with your obnoxious neighbor. And following that is how not to succeed at a marriage of convenience. And my idea behind the titles was like how to succeed at a marriage of convenience, and then they failed. It didn't work. And that's how the knot got inserted in there. My book covers, I personally think, are gorgeous.
They're so cute.
Julia Gussman did them, and she's the one that does all of Jessie Gussman's.
Yeah.
And Julia is young, but boy, she has a talent.
Yes.
So that is awesome. Yeah, they're
I'm
really
her
cute.
VA.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm
So
trying
some
to
of
get
our-
her more out there and more noticed so that she can
Cool.
use
Oh,
more
you're
work.
working with Julia, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get her social media more prominent and more out there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ren,
she's
hi,
pretty.
it's so good to see your face in real life. Sorry, I saw that and was like, hi. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. There's people here we have not heard from. So
Yeah, Ren, do you have any questions or anything you want to ask us?
Well, I just kind of barely jumped in and I'm just having
Yeah.
fun hearing that. And I tell you, for a long time, you were my very favorite military romance author, and you still are right there. But boy, there's some other ones that are coming up there that are just great. But I just got hooked on all your military romance, and I love
Thank
your
you.
insights that you have because you are a military wife.
Yeah, it can be a cool thing. Like, I love it when it works out well, but then there are times, I'll be honest, where the story's going one way and then all of a sudden I'm like, but that wouldn't happen. That's not how it works. And I have to like stop and be like, Nick, here's what's happening in my mind for the book, and he's like, oh, well, that's not realistic. That wouldn't happen. I'm like, I know. So then I have to figure out, because I can't do it. That my brain just will not allow me to put something that could not actually happen in the military or that Marines wouldn't be allowed to do. And so I have rewritten like huge chunks of books because the entire thing led up to something that he was like, oh no, you can't do that. So it's
Well, I
like
like how you give us a behind the scenes look of regulations and what really happens there. It just blows my mind, what your life is like.
Thank you. Yeah, agreed. I appreciate it. Let's see. Do we have, oh shoot, Libby popped up. Libby and Rihanna, thank you both. I don't know if you're gonna come back and watch this this thing, but they said in the chat that they had to go. And then Jill, yay, I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah, Jill is actually a published author, and she had a publishing company that had her books that went under.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh dear. And I'm trying to convince her that she should self-publish.
Yeah.
She
I
got
mean,
rights back.
yeah, you've got your rights, pop them up there, do it yourself.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I met her when I lived in Friday Harbor. So
Ooh, that sounds like a fictional small town that I would want to read about.
it's actually
How many books?
How many books does Jill have out? 3?
Yeah, totally. She
And a
should.
couple short stories. In time, my friend, you're paving the way. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure you should follow my example. I'm the one that rode my bike off a cliff when I was 10 years old.
Is that true? Did you really?
Oh, yes. And it's I have a whole collection of short stories from my childhood. I called The Grown-Ups Wanted Us Dead. And someday I am going to publish them.
Well,
Okay.
that would be awesome.
Sounds good.
That would be awesome. So one of the submitted questions that I had was like, how hard is it to write from the perspective of a character of the opposite sex? Or like, I don't know, my books are like that. So maybe that's why she asked that, because I write the guy chapter and the girl chapter and they're in first person. But what are your thoughts on that, Charlene?
I don't write in first person, but what are my thoughts? I have 6 brothers.
Oh, then there you go.
I have 6 brothers. Yes. Sometimes it's easier for me to write from the guy's perspective than the girl's perspective, because I don't write me. And so if I'm going to write about a character who isn't me, that's one of the reasons why I don't like to read first person too, because if I'm reading first person and the girl does something that I would never in my life do, that I'm like, no, I'm done with her. And that sounds judgmental, but I'm talking about like stupid things like lying or cheating, or, petty things that aren't even necessary. And I just kind of adopt the mindset of one of my brothers or one of their friends, and my cousins. I
Yeah.
spent so much time with the men in my family. And like I said, I grew up in northern Idaho in logging camps and mining towns. I was a child, but the majority of the people there were male. My
Yeah.
stepmom was there. She was the head cook, usually wherever we were. And there'd be a wife or two who watched the kids while the men were out working. But most of the population around during my childhood was male.
There you go. That'll help. I don't really have that. Mine is more, and I am doing first person. I think for me, it's about, especially in the earlier days when I first was like a new Marine wife and writing and we were hanging out with a bunch of other, not couples necessarily, but even just the Marines, hanging out with the Marines more. I think it helped just to kind of see them in the wild, and like see how they reacted to things. And then, adapting that to be like less gross and obnoxious and inappropriate for a clean audience. Because yeah,
There is
like people have actually asked me, like, how do you even write about Marines and not have like inappropriate stuff in your books? And I'm like, well, I guess I do it inauthentically, but it is what it is. Like it's so I think my writing about the opposite sex is more like, okay, let's be honest. We're reading to escape real life. So these guys are just going to be very gentlemanly and swoonly in addition to manly. Swoony in addition to manly. And I think maybe TV helps a lot too, because I'm big on dialogue in my books. In fact, I'm really like, I have to remind myself to tell people what the room looks like that they're in or like where they are, because I'm so busy with the dialogue. So yeah, that would probably be that. Is anyone tracking on if we have to go back to the main room? Because I will be honest, I'm not. I know she said an hour and 15 minutes, but
I am not, but it's not quite 4 o'clock. And if we're done at 4:30, then we have almost 20 minutes left.
Okay. Well, how long did she want to spend in the main room before the whole thing ended? Because she said there was a lot of.
I don't know, but I suspect when she wants this, she'll just close our room.
Yeah, I think they'll just close
Teleport
them.
into the main room.
Yeah.
Will she, or will we be just hanging out here while everyone's back together?
No.
Chances are they'll just close, especially if they see that people aren't coming back. They'll probably just shut the rooms down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So Jess, I was wondering, when you did the story, I can't even remember the name of it. It was in the last series about the Greek wedding.
Yes.
Is that like how you were, because
so much.
you married a Greek man.
I did. I have since found out, thanks to Ancestry, that I am at least a little bit Greek. So I was excited to be able to tell my husband's family, like, so there, because I'm basically the Ian Miller, right? And no, so the Greek wedding in that book and the Greek family in that book were very inspired by my husband's side of the family, and a lot of the little traditions and like the dances and stuff like that we had at our wedding. I don't remember if I had them break plates in the contract, and like throw the plates and say opa and all that stuff, but like our venue wouldn't let us do that. So that's kind of a bummer, but probably best for the safety of all, I imagine. But it was interesting because my family didn't know anything about Greek culture or Greek tradition. So it was cool how in the book, when I broke down like the process of the actual ceremony in the Greek church, where you're walking around the table 3 times, and then like the kumbato, or basically the godfather of your marriage, is holding the strings that are attached to the crowns that the bride and groom are wearing, and like walking behind you, and all of the symbolism behind all of that. I put that into the contract during their Greek wedding scene. And then some of my family who was actually at my wedding, they were like, oh, well, now we know what was going on during your wedding, because we were all sitting there like, when are they man and wife though? Because it was all in Greek and it wasn't traditional in that way. So that was a lot of fun to be able to dig into that stuff and put it on paper.
So you just got a compliment, Jess, from Anna. She loves your book.
Thank you, Anna. Thanks for hanging out here. Do we want to do another one of the questions from over here?
Yes.
Let's see. I'm just kind of skipping around because there was some chit chat between the questions. Oh, how do you select the names of your characters? And are any of them about real people in your life, or like inspired by real people in your life? Charlene?
I'm sorry, I was reading another question and not listening to you.
Fine. It was, how do you select the names of your characters, and are any of them inspired by real life people?
I should let Jill Erbach answer this. She was one of my beta readers for my very first book, and she sent me a note that said, pick a name. No, pick a spelling and stick to it, because I spelled the main characters wrong. Name 3 different ways.
I actually had that in my last book. I'm not gonna lie. There was in my Tennessee rom-com, his name was Riley, and I was working with someone in the author industry whose name was Riley, and she spelled it differently than he spelled it. But then that meant throughout the book it was spelled both ways. And thankfully my amazing art graders caught that and were like, yo, how's his name spelled? And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. Like,
Yeah.
so I fixed it before it went live, but yeah.
That was one from Jill.
But as far as the real people thing, Charlene, do you ever have like character names of real people? Because Anna tacked on a follow-up to that, is if we have to ask permission, if any characters are based on real people. So,
You know, I met someone the other day whose name I really liked, and I asked him if I could put him in one of my romance books. And he said, as long as you write me really romantic so I can show it to my wife and say, see, I am romantic. I said, your wife still won't like it because it'll be a different woman. He's like, oh, never mind. But no, Arabella Harper came to me in my head with her name, and I tried to change it and I just couldn't. And I have no idea where I got Griff's name. I don't. But I do not know anybody named Arabella. I do not know anybody named Griff. I do know several people named Chase, but my Chase has nothing to do with them. And none of them are actually named Chauncey. And you know, it's.
Yeah, sometimes they just come to you. I would say for mine, it's a mixture. Like I mentioned before that I have a Zara because my daughter is named Zara, and my Greek girl is Zoe, and I have a daughter named Zoe. I will tell you, I will never write heroes named after my sons, because I'm just not going to describe them as being these sexy Marines with their name. I don't know. I can't get past it. Like, I can write about my daughters being these strong female characters and blah, 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 but I'm not going to have a hero named Leo or Luca. It's just not going to happen like that. But yeah, so sometimes it's real people, and sometimes it's just like, okay, so this is going to be a funny one. I'm going to see what you readers think about this. So if I need a jerk, the first thing I always want to call him is Chad. Like somebody's ex who's like kind of for some reason that name is always like the jerk name to me, and I always have to be like, okay, no, what's a jerk name? Like, so sometimes it'll be based on their personality. Like I'll have to sit there and be like, okay, what kind of person is this? And that's how the name thing goes.
Somebody asked us what they what they think helped us sell the most in advertising. For me, it's been newsletter swaps. Other authors who I trade spots on newsletters with. But almost an hour ago,
Do we miss one?
Jordan Truex, is Jordan still in the room?
No, but we'll answer it for the recording just in case.
Okay, Jordan Truex asked how you expand your proofreading clientele.
Oh,
I'm assuming that Jordan wants to be paid. So there's the
yeah, I don't have advice on that because I don't have proofreading clientele, unfortunately. Hi Helga, welcome to the room. She just said hello.
Hi,
Let us
Helga.
know if you have any questions.
And it says we have 6 new messages since I scrolled back to see if we missed anything. Squirrel. Yeah. Thank you, Allison. I'm that way all the time. And after my husband does not watch movies. We don't have a TV set. It's just something we don't do. But he did watch Up with me. I saw it in the movie theater with a friend, and I said, "You have to see this." And it's Squirrel is one of our standing jokes when one of us isn't paying attention.
Mhm. I think it's for almost everybody who has ADHD. It's all you have to do is say that word and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, totally. As far as reading or writing and like things related to the books, I would say that the hardest thing about having ADHD, or not the hardest, just one of the things, is that I get shiny object syndrome or the squirrel thing when it even comes to like what books I want to write next. Because if I get an idea and I'm really excited about it, and I have this whole series up for pre-order that I need to write first, then I'm like, oh, but I want to be writing this instead. What do I do? So that's been challenging. But having multiple pen names definitely helps. And like I write cozy mysteries under Justine Maxwell, and it's kind of fun to have that little brain break from the Marines all the time because I live it and I write it. Not that I'm complaining, but it's just in general, it's nice to have that little like squirrely kind of feel over there. Though I will say cozy mystery, people are like, they either like some romance as a subplot in their cozies, or they don't really, it just kind of depends. And I started thinking like, oh, I wasn't really going to do much of one. And then sure enough, like I've got a romance arc running through my cozy series because I guess can't help it, but that's fine. I'm sure there's an audience for that too.
Okay.
Hello, Aralee, if I said your name right. Thanks for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions.
Okay.
So let's answer another one of your questions, Jess, and
I would say I'm scrolling through some of this we've kind of talked about like as we've been chit-chatting with each other. So let's see. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of these. That's so funny.
well, it's just the general conversation is. It's been interesting here. We've had a great group of people.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, so maybe we could do some questions back to you readers if you want to answer either in the chat or come on and talk about it. But maybe we could ask about things like what are some of your favorite, like, because as authors, I don't know about you, Charlene, but like we talk about like candy bar scenes that we really love to write, and that we often have these elements or different things that you'll find in a lot of our books. Like for me, I would say that so many of my books have like front porch sitting or like twinkle lights strung up in the backyard. Like I'm a huge sucker for twinkle lights. And so there's like these little elements that we really, really love. So as readers, what are some things where when you come across it in a book, you're just like, oh, this is for me, whether it's a scene or a trope or anything like that. And you can put it in the chat or just talk.
For me, candy bar scenes are a little different. They're the ones I love to write, but they're not always the same. The story, How Not to Feud with Your Obnoxious Neighbor, started over, oh, see, and this will answer the inspiration question too, and I didn't even think of it. I am a people watcher. I go out in public and I sit down. I'll go into a restaurant by myself and order something to eat just so I can eavesdrop on the other tables. I am a people watcher. I go to the park, I sit on a bench. I watch people. Sometimes they don't even have to say anything. I just make up these little stories in my head, and occasionally they're good. And with the Griffin Arabella, the scene that came to me first was when he brings her a dog that is not hers, and he's telling her off for letting her dog get out on the highway. And that whole scene, and I don't want to give it away, but it came to me in the park when I saw some man pick up a dog and carry it over to the woman, and he's holding out the dog to her and he's shaking his finger at her, and I can't hear what he's saying, but the upshot of the whole thing was, she walked away and he still had the dog, because I'm assuming it wasn't hers. And it just sort of like, I have to write this scene, and what's good's the scene if it doesn't have a whole story? And that's and that's when the name Arabella Harper popped into my head, and I wrote that scene, and then I wrote the beginning, and I continued on from there.
That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, I'll answer if you guys don't have one yet, or if any of you want to answer, go ahead.
How many?
Oh, but also, yeah,
first line.
That is an interesting question.
Too many. I don't them, but this particular book I'm writing right now, I have started over 3 times.
So when you say start over, do you start in a different place than you did before? Or is it, 5 minutes left in breakout rooms? Hey, I just got a notification. Good to know.
There you go.
Okay, so do you start in are you going to try to start the book in a different part of the book?
The first time I started it way too soon. And I realized nobody needs all of this except probably me.
Yeah.
And I threw that out. And then the second time I was writing it, and I should preface this by saying I started this book and I finished the last one while I was going through chemo. And I did not like the guy at all. And I thought, and I thought, gee, if I don't like him, what if I can't turn him into someone I like? And I did away with him and came up with an entirely different backstory, which made him a different person. And this one I like much better.
Okay. As far as a first line for me, I feel like I like to start either with dialogue or I don't know. It's funny because my big thing is that I like to just in a very short amount of time get as many words down as I possibly can, or like finish the book in as few days as humanly possible, because my brain will forget where I was going with the story if I take too long to write it. But as long as I have like a really crappy first draft that's like there, then I can turn that into something awesome. So really, I will just often start a book with somebody saying to someone else, like, you're kidding, and then what? Or like just some kind of something just to get me started. And then when I'm going back through the editing process, then I'll be like, all right, how do I actually want to open it? but I wouldn't say that I put a huge emphasis on the first line as much as does it start in a place where it's exciting, or like Charlene was just saying, like, oh, am I too early? But I needed this info for my own brain. So let me just cut it. And so, yeah, that's a good question. That got me thinking.
Yeah, I think that
So, yeah, we have to go into the other room soon. Do we want to see if there's any final thoughts? Oh, what did Allison just say? My favorite scene in a book is usually the one where the couple finally figure out what's going on between them and they have that conversation that results in them fine. I love that. You're right. That's a great, that is a great moment.
I think that's the moment we all read romance for. Not necessarily
Absolutely.
the last kiss, but the beginning of the end, when they finally realize that they're on the same page. And
Yeah, that's always that moment in a good book where you're like, now I can breathe. Like, we've been waiting for this. Now I can breathe.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any final thoughts before we have to pop back over to the main room?
No, just this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, same.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wolani. Thank you so much, Jill and Allison. We really appreciate you hanging out with us.
It's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
just our really good friends are behind. Allison and Wolani. I met Wolani in a different, when I was a fan of Elizabeth Madre, wasn't it, Wolani? And
Oh, she's one of my best friends.
and Lucy Ulrich, and who else was in there? Elizabeth and Lucy are the only ones I still
Alicia.
yeah. Elizabeth and Lucy are the only ones that are still on my Facebook page. And Jill and I met at church.
Cool.
in Harbor.
Well, it's nice to meet you all.
You too. It's
Yeah.
been
I
a
guess
really, really nice evening. I know it's afternoon for you, but it's been a nice evening for me.
Yay, I'm glad. Well,
Yay.
we'll see you guys in the main room for the fun
Yes.
that's happening over there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Jess, you were a great hostess.
You
Yes,
too, Charlene.
you were.
Thank you. Bye.
See you on the- Okay, wait, how do we get over there? Oh, click
If you move your mouse, yeah, leave room. Yep.
leave room.
Yeah.
Nope, it says choose room. Wait a minute, where does it say leave room?
Down at the bottom right corner.
Oh,
We got lots of snow too.
Or more south of Judy.
Yeah, just like 45 minutes. It's right
Yeah.
down there.
We're going there for spring break. I was like, I just need
Oh.
some sun.
Yeah. We went there last weekend and it was a good escape. So
Darn snow.
Yeah.
Great. We're just waiting for everyone to come back. And then we'll have a final Q&A. Ask our authors if any questions individually or as a group. But yeah, I've already heard a lot of people saying that they're having a fabulous time tonight. So yay.
I learned a lot.
That's
Myself
awesome.
personally.
This is a really neat system. I really like the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, why are more people not taking advantage of this? It is such a great tool. So, all right, I think we have almost everyone. I don't know why it's taking a minute, but oh yeah, Kendra, I love it. It's so much fun for me. I mean, it's a lot of work. I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of work, but it's so much fun to bring so many people together. All right.
I had a lot of fun and then I ended up spending $147, not 147,000. That's ridiculous. No, it's books. It's never ridiculous when it's books. Well, I just got laid off in December from the tech world. Let's give me a few months to recuperate from that. Then we'll talk.
Well, for all of you guys who love to read, almost every author either has a contest. Oh no, every author does have a contest or a free book for you if you join their newsletter. So in that packet that you got, along with that, along with that, along with the
We need to screenshot that picture real quick.
Oh, did I freeze? Ooh, I froze, huh?
You froze like.
Of course I did. Oh no, my internet's unstable.
If it had gone on any longer, I was going to screenshot it for you.
Of course.
Oh wait, you're recording. You'll be able to see it.
No, I'm not recording.
Someone
Okay.
is.
You are recording.
It says it's recording.
It says it's recording.
Lisa,
I'm not the one recording. Someone else is recording.
Lisa, before we jump into the Q&A, do you mind if I introduce myself real quick?
Yeah, I was going to do that. Yeah. So this is
Cool.
Ben. This is my partner in crime. He is a fantasy author with almost 40 books under his belt. And so he is the author part of this while I'm the marketing arm of it. And so, yeah, take it away, Ben.
Thank you. So I'll just take a moment. Sorry it was late. I was coaching my son's basketball game. I have 6 kids, so my life is super chaotic and wonderful at the same time. Like Lisa said, I'm the author side of it. We came up with the idea for cleanauthors.com a little over a year ago, and just got really excited about this prospect of connecting writers and readers that like to write clean. My main series is fantasy and science fiction. I also have a clean romance series on creative dating. And it's just a blast to be able to talk to readers that like to jump between different genres as long as it's clean. And so this has been such a cool thing to put together. We did a science fiction fantasy meetup like this just a couple months ago, and a romance one was definitely on the list to put this together because there's so many people like this type of content. And so it's a pleasure to be able to meet you all and to see you and connect with you all. So thank you for joining. Thank you for talking to Lisa. She's fantastic. So I look forward to getting to know you guys in the future.
Yeah. And I'm just going to show you really quick. This is Clean Authors, and this is our romance section that I added a whole bunch of new people today to it. So all of these wonderful romance authors all write clean, and some of them like Melissa, who is here, and so is Allison and Roxy and Janine and Sarah, and I missed one, I think, maybe not. Okay, anyway, so there's all that. We also have our nice little book directory, and it might, there's a lot happening on my internet right now, but we'll see if this works. You can actually sort by content level, by genre. Yeah, it's giving me a sec, so I apologize. But you can sort by genre, by content level, by category, meaning like the age of the main character, if it's an audiobook or not, or if it's Christian or not. So we want to be the destination for people who care and want to read clean fiction. So that's my little spiel. We're going into the Q&A questions. So if you have a question that you would like to ask our authors, or Ben or I, feel free to do that. You can drop it in the chat, or you can just unmute. So who wants to go first?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you are, okay, what is the question how would you tell your brand new author self to market your book in today's environment? So you've just written your book, you just published for the first time. How would you suggest getting that book out to readers?
Who wants to tackle that?
I would say write your next book.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I would also just like for marketing, I know a lot of authors these days are like reaching out to like book influencers who read in your genre. Not all of them like to be like contacted, but there are some who are happy to receive like an arc of your book, and they can help get the word out. And then also I do TikToks a lot, and doing that has been helpful. So and then swapping with other authors in your genre.
I have to jump in real quick. Judy, I love your TikToks. I watch those all the time.
They're good.
Thank you.
Great.
Sometimes I feel like a dork, but I do it
love
anyway.
about them is they're uniquely you.
Yeah.
You don't try and be someone else. You don't try and show up and do all the trends. You just show up as you. And I think that is the key to where people feel your authenticity and they connect to that. And that's why you have like 1 billion followers.
Not quite, but
Yeah. You have a lot.
Fun. It's been fun for me.
So, any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
It's Rose. So I love this concept. This is, I don't know about anybody else, but this is kind of what I've been looking for being in this genre or amongst these writers, having somewhere where we're all at and where readers can find us. I think one of the readers said finally somewhere or something along the lines where I can find authors who write what I like to read. How do we get the word out aside from, you know, sending it out to our readers? Like I plan on taking that link and sending it to in my newsletter. How else can we get the word out? How can we help?
Oh, with Clean Authors?
Yes.
Thank you. I will take any help I can get. First, join us as one of our featured authors. We would love to have you. But also just letting other people know about it. And we do have, and it's going to expand as we are adding new people, but we have where they can get 10 free books if they join. And so, you know, telling them about that, telling them about these events that we have, that type of thing. And I do not have a hashtag. Well, I do have a hashtag, let's be honest. I use it occasionally, but like I haven't, it's not a massive thing that I've been doing yet. But yeah, like I want this to be a movement. I want people who care about clean. Obviously, there's lots of people out there who read lots of different authors for lots of reasons. But if clean is important, I want cleanauthors.com to be the destination they go to find their next read.
Our primary goal with cleanauthors.com was to essentially take all of our audiences and blend them into one giant mega audience. So that as your readers jump over to like Cindy Hale's audience or Roxy's audience, and as this audience that really likes clean finds one hub where they can jump between, they join the cleanauthors.com subscriber list. And whenever members are going to release a new book, the cleanauthors.com is going to send out a newsletter saying, hey, so-and-so has a new book for every member's new book. And so as we do this, more and more of our individual audience start to become into this giant shared audience, which will have far more power than any one of us individually can possibly connect with. And so it's kind of like our own in-house clean book club kind of thing, where we get to connect with our audience, do meetings like this, where they can talk to us directly, and then from here, jump and meet new authors and come back. And so it really comes down to points of contact. We want to increase the points of contact between authors and readers, and authors and readers to new authors. And all of that kind of gets funneled through the website of cleanauthors.com and the in-house subscriber list.
So we do have questions in the comments, and I want to get to those. Someone asked if they like to collect paperback. So if you are an author and do you have paperbacks, raise your hand so that they know that they can go and get your paperbacks. Next question. What would you define as clean fiction in the area of violence and subject matter? Like, can you have mature themes and conflicts, domestic violence, sexual assault, suicide, but still be considered clean fiction since they are real issues? Yes, is the short answer, and here's the long one. It's not up to us to tell people what is clean and what is not. What we are doing is we are giving a rating system and a place where people can say what is in their books. So if they're a level 4 because it has a lot of adult content, then people can know that going in. We just want transparency. We're not here to define what clean means to any one person. We just want to.
Do you want to just show the ratings page so they can see it?
I really want to get to the questions. So it's on our site. Go click content levels and you can go read it all. But or Ben, you want to drop the link in the comments and then people can go see it if they want. But there's more questions, so I want to get that. Judy said that how many TikToks do you have out there? You lost count. Over 100, I'm sure, but like, how
Probably.
long did it take you to put those on? How often do you post?
So right now I try to post like maybe 3 a week, just because I'm also trying to write at the same time. But like there was a time during the summer where I was like making 3 a day, but that was crazy and I burned myself out. So I don't do that anymore, but it was awesome for the while that I was doing that. But yeah, I try to do, if I'm like being really good, I try to do 1 a day, but it doesn't happen. So as long as I get like 3 in a week, then I feel okay.
Nice. When are the winners of the free books going to be announced? You have 72 hours to get the contests in. And I will be sending out an email tomorrow with information on that, letting everyone know who wasn't able to attend that, we will be releasing some recordings along the way, but especially that they can find out tons of information from the packet. So if you are an author and someone asks you how long they have, 72 hours. So like 3 nights from now, it's going on. Does Clean Author, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have TikTok. I will be honest, I have been most on TikTok because I've been trying to learn the algorithm with that. But now that this is over, social media is going to be a huge emphasis of mine, and getting the word out about the individual authors that are featured authors and Clean Authors. So you will see me if you look for me. Ginny, what was the inspiration for your Flyboy series? She might have left. I absolutely love Reaper. Is Jenny still here?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yep. No, so when I started that series, it just kind of hit me one day. I wanted to do a set of twins and have them find their special person. And I actually wrote book 2 before I ever wrote book 1. So.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
So we're gonna rapid fire because there's questions. Can an author mention that they are on Clean Author are a Clean Author on BookBub? So can you somehow, is that the question, Rachel? Like, can you designate that on BookBub?
I kind of already answered that. I don't think BookBub has a clean category. Their categories are genre specific, so you wouldn't be able to go to BookBub and say you're a clean. That wouldn't be a category unless they changed it very recently, which I don't think they have.
But you can always, like, they have a place for notes. So I think you can mention that if you want to. And then I think they have like a Christian romance. Do they have that?
Yeah, they do have a Christian
also
romance. Yeah, thank you, Judy.
Christian fiction, but yeah.
Okay.
Then, okay. Oh, someone dropped it. Thank you, Rachel, for dropping the link. I'm just trying to get caught up. Sorry. Who had questions? Go ahead and ask.
I was just say, how did they become like an author with Clean Authors? Is that you reaching out to them reaching out to you? How does that?
So I got my first person that reached out to me this past week and found me. So that was like really, really exciting. And thank you, Janine, because you introduced her to me. So yay. We are small. We're just starting out. So I am doing everything I can do to get known in the author world. And that's part of the reason for these events, but also just because this is very aligned with what we're trying to do of bring readers and writers that enjoy Clean together, because I hear from people all the time, oh, I cannot find the authors that I like, and I'm so scared to try new authors because you just don't know anymore. So this is to help people to know what to expect and who that they can start looking after. So
and connect with Lisa and she'll sign you up. That's how it works.
Yeah. So there's 4 authors on the Clean Authors, and it's got some more information, though it's going to expand. And there's a link there that you can get on my calendar. Where would I have received this packet? It is in the email. You should have received an email from Clean Authors. If you registered, you should have had, you didn't have to register for Clean Authors, just for this event. Everyone who registered for this event should have gotten that packet. It's called workbook, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I never know what to call it. So there's a lot of questions about like TikTok and Reels and stuff like that. Yeah, those are kind of the same things, and most people just repurpose their content on all the different platforms, and so in short form video, right? Like, would you say authors, that's pretty much what you do, just repurpose the same content?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We have, okay, people are, all right, I think I'm getting caught up. Rachel wants to know if you guys would recommend a writer's retreat.
Like a specific one, or just do we recommend them? Because I recommend them, but I don't have a specific one.
And I think anytime you can meet with somebody and do networking, it really helps. I know I've been to different conventions, and I know several other people have, where you go and you meet people and you see them for the first time and you're able to bounce ideas and talk to people.
So I like to tell this story. When I went to my first event, I spent $500 to go get a table. I spent hundreds of dollars to go stay for food and everything. And I sold 2 books, 2 print books. That was it. Oh. So I grand net total of $4 for my like $850 spent. But when I got home, I wrote a list of all the ideas I got from people, and next to it, the dollar figure that I thought that I would equate to those ideas. Some were $100, some were $500. One was like $10,000 that I thought I'd earn from it. The list at the bottom was over $100,000 worth of value. Retreats are a great place to come and connect with ideas that will totally change the course of your career. So they can be very valuable. Just make sure you're going to one that furthers your goals. Who you're connecting with, are they going to be able to help you? Are you going to be able to learn from them? And also, what can you contribute and help them with? Right. Just like Ginny was saying. So.
All right, we made it through the questions in the comments. So what other questions do people have?
I was wondering like where different authors come up with ideas for their covers, if they just have somebody who just does the cover art, or if they have an idea and they send it to somebody to turn it into something, or
Boy, everybody's got quiet.
I can answer that one.
I can answer that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really depends. Sometimes you have like a scene in mind that you would like on the cover, and you ask the cover designer to get kind of close to it, or you have a specific look that the couple you want on the cover should have, or something like that. But I also like to collect a lot of stock photos and just be like,
yeah,
this is the feel that I'm going for. Can you just,
Yeah, a lot of times I'll get stock photos, just like she said, I'll get stock photos. And I will go and look at other covers that are in the genre where I'm wanting to publish at, and I'll take some snapshots and I'll say, okay, I like this part here, and I like this font here, and this space needs to be filled in here, but I don't know what. Here's what my book's about. And a really, really good cover creator can actually actually take all the garbage that you give them and turn it into something absolutely beautiful.
And I have a little bit of a thing with mine being the Marines, and the I try to be as realistic as possible with it. And so when I very first started out, I was like, none of these cover models are going to work for my characters, because Marines can't have their hair like that, or they can't have that scruff on their chin and all of these other things. So I actually started putting actual Marine couples on my covers as the models. And so that's kind of I just love that, because then, we're able to, so maybe, and then I have friends who write cowboy romances, and they have like people in their town who are cowboys, and they have like their pictures memorialized on a book, I guess. And then and Tara, you have real firefighters, right? So sometimes it can be fun in that way based on what you're writing.
I 100% stole that from Jess because she's awesome. And she's like, I found these people on Instagram. And so I just spent hours looking through firefighter engagement photos until I
Well, you
found
would be
one.
surprised how excited they get when you reach out and you're like, hey, this picture is gorgeous. Can we chat about it being on a book, on a romance? And they're like, yes. And then can I have a paperback and tell all of my family to buy it? And I'm like, please, yes, do that. So
You mentioned Tara and firefighters all in one sentence, and all of a sudden her face you could just tell like she had flashbacks. Like she was just so happy.
I did the same thing with my first books. I actually had my friend was a fashion photographer, and we did like a model casting call, and we ended up getting a guy who was a musician, who was on American Idol, got to be on one of the covers. And then the model for my book Destiny, she and her family still follow what we do, like still, and it's been since 2013.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Can I ask a question, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, I love these ideas of using real people, because when you do interracial, there's not as many stock options, So what is a reasonable amount to offer people?
All right. I'm just gonna say this, and I can't speak to this being the case for other authors that have done this, but when I approach these people on Instagram or whatever, like no one talks about a price. Like they're excited to be on the cover of a book. So it's not a matter of like, hey, can I buy the rights to this photo? It's, hey, let's loop in your photographer and make sure that they're okay with this. And like, if they want some kind of, something signed about it, that's all well and good. But I have only I think I've done this with at least 20 books now with real people on them. And there was only one person who responded, and her response was, yes, I will speak to the other person in the photo, but we're not together anymore. And we haven't talked in a long time, and he's kind of a jerk, but I think it would be reasonable for us to be paid $500 each as models, and the photographer $1,000. So if you're good with that, then so are we. And I was just like, thanks. And then just kind of like, peace out. So I don't know. I mean, if you're talking to people in love and telling them that their photo is gorgeous and you would love to put it on a book cover, like the conversation doesn't usually get to that point, because it's not really what it's about. Like you're just trying to showcase like you want real love on your book because you want it to feel authentic, and
My models didn't charge me anything. They're just so excited to be on a book cover.
What I've done,
Yeah,
I've got several books that are my friends are actually on the covers of several of my books, and I've given them a paperback and, obviously credited them in the book, thank you to my cover models, and listed their names. And they're just like, wow, this is great. They're just excited. Like everybody else.
You too. I totally forgot to say, yeah, you're right under me. I should have, sorry. One other thing though that I was going to suggest with the shoot thing that Cindy made me think of was we did, since we're here in Hawaii, I had a local photographer who was a friend of mine, and we did mini shoots on the beach. And so it was like, they've got this gorgeous setup, and they can come and I pay the photographer, whatever price we arranged for the fee of the mini shoot. But the models were essentially getting a free mini shoot with 10 edited photos from the photographer and a paperback copy of the book as like a thank you for doing this. So they got that out of it. And then I just arranged a price with a photographer for her time. Because as the person who's going to want to choose one of the photos for a book, like you want the unedited images anyway, so that your cover designer can do her thing with it. So it's not like she has to spend her time on those ones. So that could be another option, is staging a mini shoot, and the couples get that out of it too.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Jess, real quick, how much did you pay your photographer for that photo shoot?
She was a friend. So the deal was she was a fellow Marine wife who was a photographer. So I wouldn't say that would be like, so unless you have family or friend, yeah.
So I just want to interject for a moment and comment that the question earlier about going to retreat, this is exactly what we want to do. It's not just to connect with the readers, but these are the types of questions like Tana, I don't know how to pronounce your name, her question was exactly what, there's going to be people in this group that will know those answers. And then they'll have questions. And as we come together, it's more than just connecting with our readers. It's building a hive together that whenever we need something, there's going to be someone in this group that can help us and answer those questions. And so we're building a community of writers and readers. So I just want to interject and say, you guys are fantastic. I love meeting professional writers and aspiring writers. That you guys, your questions, your answers, you guys are just amazing. I'm impressed by so many of you.
So the question came up, Jess, how long did it take you to write all of your books? Well, let's put that out to all you guys. About how long does it take you to write, let's say, more than a novella book?
I mean, should I answer? I'll
yeah, go first.
Okay, so I like, my friends are like smiling. So listen, I like to sit down and binge write a first draft in a very short amount of time. So the shortest amount of time for like not a novella would probably be 4 days. But remember, this is a like not hardly eating, not hardly sleeping. I just need to get the whole story on the computer, and then I can take however long. Stop laughing, friends. Then I can take however long I want to turn it into what gets published. But I will absolutely lose track of what I want the story to be if I don't throw it up first.
So you are the ultimate pantser, you're saying?
No, some of them it's plotted, but it still happens within that amount of time. That would be like, that's the first thing I'll do. It just depends on the book, but you know, I have ADHD and autism, so my process is just going to be wonderfully obnoxious, as I am.
For me, mine's like I'm at the 5-month time period to get like a full length novel these days. My first several books took me like years, so I'm slow.
That's for the whole book though, like the editing and everything.
With editing, it's like usually 6. I like go 6 months between each release. So like, I guess start to finish with everything included is like 6 months.
For me, it's about 1 month per book, maybe 2.
Nice.
I'm probably right there with Jess. I usually can turn a book around in 7 days, like anywhere between 50 and 60K, because I need to get it out, health permitting. But that's also because I write faster because I was ghostwriting for a while. So health permitting, I have to get it out fast too, Jess.
Same.
So you guys are all a lot faster writers than I am.
I take at least 3 or 4 months to write it. Yeah. I'm slower. It's fine.
Now that my kids are in school and I actually have time during the day, I can do 6 months, but no, I'm not near as fast as anyone. My very first book took me 7.5 years. So I'm better now.
It was a really good one though. I really loved it.
Thank you.
All right, the question was asked, I missed it. Where'd it go? It was for Jess. How long did it take you? Nope, it was the next one. It was about a specific one series, a San Diego series or something like that for Jess. I cannot find it.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, there.
I mean, I guess it would probably be something like the same thing. And I definitely don't think it's about speed as much as it is like, you know, if I have tried before to do the thing where you write a consistent amount of words every day that's like smaller, and then I forget what I was writing about because I don't know how to do it that way, you know? So like yeah, as far as the San Diego series, I'm sure it was a similarly, I'm going to lock myself in my office and throw this book up, and then I'll take a few weeks to edit it kind of a thing. But yeah, definitely not a an indication of, because I saw that comment, John Grisham does a book a year, so not all about speed, and that's so
Yeah.
true.
Does anyone write multiple books at the same time?
Oh, no.
Ben does, Roxy does.
Roxy
Peter does. Jess, you do multiple at the same time?
I have
So
3
that
or
would be
4 right
where,
now.
yeah, see, it's like you layer them, stack them.
Nice. Nice.
No, I'm like Jess. If I have it in my head, I've got to get it out. And until I get it out, I can't touch it. And I can't read anything else on my iPad. I get distracted and I lose my spot.
Interesting. So what's everyone's next project that they have coming up? What's the next book that they're releasing? Go ahead and just, go at it. I'm not going to tell you who to go first.
For me, my book is coming out April 5th, and I'm feeling really inspired by everyone talking about how they get it out so quickly, because I have half of it written and I haven't even set up an editor or anything yet. And yeah, so I'm going to be doing this writing 10,000 words a day thing to get it out. So yeah, but I'm really excited about it. It's book 3 in my series, and it's called Flirting with My Brother's Billionaire Best Friend.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
I have one coming out at the end of this month, and it's called The One She Can't Forget. And it's book 2 in my Second Chance Firefighter series. And the first one is free right now if you sign up for my newsletter. So then you can dive right into book 2. And it's a amnesia romance, which I've never written before, but they were secretly dating, and then she has an accident and forgets the whole thing. So he has to re-woo her afterwards. So it's a really fun one. I'm excited for it to come out at the end.
So much.
So the whole series, I'm really excited. The whole series is all second chance stories and different types of second chance stories. And they're all firefighters. So check them out.
That sounds fun. All right, who's next?
I have, sorry, go ahead,
Jenny. It's okay, Jenny, you can go.
I have one coming out Friday. It's called Courageous Emotions, and it's part of my Flirts Battalion series, firefighter series, and it's a single dad story, so I really enjoyed writing it.
Nice. All right, who else was talking? I think it was Danae.
That was me. Sorry, I'm so shy. I'm like, okay, I can do this. My next one's coming out at the end of the month. It's called Hoping on Forgiveness. And it's a clean cowboy romance with some suspense, because I like to have that action to keep me going. And I was doing really good on it. I was getting my inner Jess in there and getting out words like crazy. But then this crazy snowstorm happened, and I am just cleaning up messes beyond belief. So I have to get that inner Jess going again for this next week, because I have to get it to my editor by Friday. But I'm super excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the second book in my Hope Lake series. Thank you.
I have one coming out. It's a spinoff series. It's the first in the new spinoff series called Brides of Evergreen Ridge, and it's Hope in Spring. It comes out at the end of the month.
Nice.
I have a new book. It's coming out at the end of the month, and it is the 6th book in my First Responders of Faith Valley. It is called Mending a Broken Past, and it is a doctor who's coming back to his small town. And the other books, the first book is you get it for free in my newsletter, and then the other books are in KU.
Nice.
I just had a book come out on the 1st. This is book 2 of the Apple Valley Ranchers. It's also in KU. And then in April, this one will be out. It's a multi-author series project. And then it's the 5th one. The first one was just out on the 28th from Kit Morgan. And so there's 5 of us putting out 2 or 3 books each this year. So there'll be lots of those. That's the Wild Rose Ridge series.
I have a book coming out in April. It's book 3 in my St. James Sisters collection. It's beach romance. It's called Still Life with Lobster. And books 4, 5, and 6 have already been put out there. So who says you have to do things in order, right?
I have a book coming out next month. It's book 2 in my Buena Hills series. It's a sports romance, kind of a double underdog story. Also Forbidden Love and Opposites Attract. So
Hey, Allison, did I miss you on the introductions? Because
No.
like, okay, I was just like, I don't remember, but I was trying to do 100 things at once. So it's not.
No.
Okay. Anyone else have something coming out soon? All right, awesome. The question was asked, at what point in the process do you come up with the title?
I hate doing titles. I usually have someone else do it for me.
I brainstorm.
Titles are the worst.
Yeah.
I will also agree that titles are terrible.
So here
Not
lately,
as bad blurbs.
Here
No,
lately,
you're right.
I've been doing I just retitled some of my books, and I did all of them as different love songs. And instead of like love or whatever, I put in the word kiss. So, like when you're ready, come and kiss me. Instead of, I can't even remember the title of the song, but it's a Selena Gomez song. And then like kiss me, baby, one more time. Instead of like the Britney Spears song and oops, I kissed him again. So I did that for like the whole series. So
That's cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I'm going to you the next time I need to title a book.
Right?
And I do mine with my writers group. My titles and my blurbs are community endeavors. We just throw them out in the air and start brainstorming. And it seems like everybody will say something that finally comes together to be one thing.
So to piggyback on that, what like, does anyone have like a funny story where it's like something happened, then you just like brainstorm like the idea of a book or the idea of a title or something like that, that you're just like, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. Nope. Nothing. All right, darn it. I was like, that
Well,
could be.
I come up with a lot of the titles long before I come up with the story. And a lot of times the title is what triggers what the story is going to be. So like the Second Chance Fire Station series, I knew it was going to be the one who got away. And so then playing off of that, I did The One Who Promised Forever and The One She Can't Forget. And I was like, well, The One She Can't Forget, that's got to be an amnesia story. And so that was, and then The One Who Promised Forever, well, that's got to be a redeemed broken marriage story. And so the titles actually came before the idea for the book, but the book came later. So
yeah, that happens with me every time. Like I always do my title before I know much about the book. So I often just have to figure it out from there. Like,
yeah.
And naming conventions make it really hard. Like when you're like, okay, I'm going to do it all. Like naming conventions are going to be the death of me, I'm sure. And I'm trying from now on to not have something super rigid because my Hawaii series got a little wacky at some point with trying to come up with like, so the first book is Treasured in Turtle Bay because it takes place at Turtle Bay Resort. And then I was like, oh, I need 5 more things like this. And then like the friends that are in here, we were sitting there in the chat just like, okay, somebody suggested something like, because there's the blowhole is a thing here on Oahu. It's a place. It's like a tourist destination. And they were like, beauties at the blow. And I was like, this is clean romance. And I'm not going to talk about the blowhole. And they're like, it's a tourist destination. And I'm like, can we not? So if you wanted a funny, there's a funny. It's not the title that didn't wind up happening. Just like, but yeah.
Donna, I think you had something to add.
Hey, Jess, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in. On April Fools, you ought to have a cover made and say that's your new release coming out.
Oh
That
my
is-
goodness. Well, I don't know if I have the guts, Ginny. You do it.
Do it, Jess. Do it. That could backfire these days.
It could. I mean, that's a little, because the blowhole is a place. It's like right down the street, you know.
It
but
could,
like,
it
put
could
that on a-
definitely backfire.
Yeah, but I think Ginny, you could do it.
The cancel culture is real, folks.
That would be the thing that would go viral for you, and then everyone would be expecting it.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons, I would be getting people to read my books, and they would be highly disappointed.
Lisa, can we get a screenshot with everybody while everyone's really laughing and happy real quick for
Yeah, we'll try it. Sure.
Clean Authors? I'll be happy to do it. I just wanted you guys to be aware that I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So before everybody says goodnight too much, I would love to capture a screenshot for Lisa real quick. So everybody 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, say smile. Wait. I totally screwed that up. Hold on. Sorry guys, hold on real quick. Ready? 5, 4, 3.
Hold it. Hold it.
Got it.
All right. Thank you, Marianne.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? Burning questions? This is the time.
Are you gonna do this again?
Absolutely.
You are about to say that. I was actually about to ask that very question. So Lisa and I are planning on doing these on a regular basis. We're still trying to figure out when. At least yearly, although we've talked about doing them like twice a year. Just kind of depends on how
Next
often
is
our-
mystery suspense. So if you
Next
like
is
mystery suspense, that's the next one that I have promised people that I'm going to do. So that is next. After that, I don't know. We'll have to see if we expand to a new one or do a fantasy one again, because fantasy was in November. So I learn a lot with each time. I'm hoping it doesn't take as much time every time to organize these, because I want to have them more often, but my family can tell you, like, I basically say, I do what Jess does. I basically like go into my computer room for 4 days and I just like, bye-bye. I will see you later. So yeah.
We do want to thank all of you for coming. This has been such a privilege to talk with you and to connect with you. I'm a really social person. I don't think every writer is, but when I get to meet with other writers and just talk, it's just such a cool environment to learn from and to grow from and to be part of. So thank you everyone for coming. Lisa, like I said before, is fantastic. If you have questions, definitely ask her. We are growing cleanauthors.com like crazy. I can't wait to see what we do in 6 months or a year. So if you're inclined to learn more, definitely reach out, because it's going to be a great ride as we grow and build this community.
26 authors. Right now we have close to 600 clean books on our directory. So yeah, it's really fun.
Congratulations, everybody. This isn't about Lisa and Ben. This is about all of you all. And I'm happy to be able to sit here and join and learn from all of y'all tonight. So thank you for being here as well, and teaching us who don't know all about all this stuff, a little insight to maybe start a writing career of our own.
Definitely. I think that's it. Anyone else have any last minute questions? I'm looking through to make sure. Oh, someone asked Ben if you read the type of books that you write when you were
I was
growing
trying to understand your question. Do I write like coming of age stories? Is that what you're asking?
No, I think they were asking, did you read fantasy? And
Oh, yeah. I grew up reading. I loved fantasy growing up. I really enjoyed them. Actually, the first story I came up with was because I didn't like the fantasy book I was reading. And so as I fell asleep, I was like, how could I make it better? I was 12, so arrogant as this 12-year-old kid. But I kept thinking about the story for 15 years and it became my first book. So, of course, I read Tolkien. Brandon Sanderson when I got older. A huge variety. Gordon Corman, that's not fantasy, but he was just so funny. He was great. So
Yeah.
I admit I didn't read a whole lot of fantasy. I didn't read a whole lot of romance at the time, but as I started doing my master's thesis, which was my clean romance project, I began reading some then. So I like to read a lot of stuff and write a lot of stuff.
All right. Any more last minute questions before we call this a night?
Yes, I do, Rachel. Yeah, again, reach out if you have any future questions or anything that comes up. Thank you again to everybody.
Yeah. And thank you for everyone that came and participated, because without all the readers, none of this works.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also a great idea because like I came because Judy Corey was going to be here and I've read all of her books, and then like getting to meet other authors and I'm like, ooh, I like you. I like talking to you as a person. Now I want to go find all of your books and read them.
Yeah, it's this is the way to grow a movement, is to have a face behind the name, have relationships that we develop, not just, there are wonderful books out there, but there are a lot of books out there. So if you want to stand out, have that relationship with each other. And that really does matter in the long run.
Welcome to the community, Katie.
All right.
I just got to actually write a book.
Yeah, there you go.
Finish it, I guess.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.